Welcome to the Minute Masters, and today I'm going to show you guys how to install one of these bad boys. This is an MSD Ignition box. Oh yeah, this is going to be awesome. Let's get to it.
So here's what you get when you buy one of these ignition control boxes. You get the box with all the fancy promo. You get the main wiring harness, the ignition control box. There's this other bit of wiring harness, and then the bag of like miscellaneous goodies. Now, as the kit stands right now, you'll have to splice a lot of this into your ignition system, which is fine until you have to remove this for whatever reason. Now, one of you smart gentlemen recommended that I buy this harness kit. It's part number 8874, and as the name implies, it adapts it to your harness. So that little bit is right here. Now, if you recognize some of these plugs, you'll notice it looks very similar to that plug right there. So definitely get this. That will make this entire thing plug and play, and you really won't have to splice anything other than maybe this tack wire if you're going to use it. Let's get to the install. So the first major step in this project is finding a place to mount the MSD box. It needs a decent sized flat surface, which makes this part the most difficult, because finding that much flat surface in these trucks is next to impossible, even though we have lots of engine space. So I'm going to give you a couple of options, and then I'll show you the one I went with. So over here, you've got a flat section of steel that you can mount to. The only issue you run into is when you go to run your leads over to your battery, you'll come up short, and so you'll need a splice. A little less plug and play, but you'll have good access to it. It's right over there. The other place that I've been eyeing up and I've been trying to make work is right here. So I tried the firewall over here. You could make it work with self-tappers, but some of the other routes a little less successful. So I've actually opted with right here on top of the fender well, which some people might hate, but I'm gonna give it a shot. As you can see, the coffee cans here, this filter from the smog pumps here. So I'm gonna relocate them. So I'm gonna take this and I'm actually gonna move it back here. And to get it undone, there's just bolts that stick down inside the fender well in here. You can see all the little holes. Same thing with this. I'm gonna move this right over to here, like so. Move the bracket over. The bracket, same thing, just bolted through. I'm gonna do a single screw through there, or a single bolt right there. And then I'm gonna take this, route it over that way, cut it back, and install it on there. Again, if you don't go this route, it's a lot of stuff you won't have to do, but this is the way I'm going so that I can put this box right there. So I'm gonna bring it back once I've kind of got everything situated, you know what I'm up to, and we'll go from there. So I'd bring you along for just a little update. So as you can see, I have the bracket bolted over here. And then using rivet nuts, I actually set these like isolator bushings that come with the MSD box. And then basically you screw your box down on top of those. And then I'll show you the underside. So you can see the rivet nuts kind of sticking down. I used one of the bolts that came with just because I couldn't get my rivet tool down there, but you can see them right there. So now just to screw the box in place. All right, guys, so here's the finished product of kind of rearranging everything. So box here, nice and solid. It's on those like isolator bushings. So it actually won't sit directly on top, which I like. And then you've got your smog filter can right here. Notice I didn't put this little corrugated pipe thing back. I don't think it makes a huge difference. And then of course, coffee can right here, nice and solid. None of my other wiring or anything has been disrupted. So the next step is wiring it in. All right, guys, so the hardest part is done. We have the 6AL box mounted here, and I have it on that inner fender well. Moved everything around. It's time to wire it up. So here is the harness, and you'll notice two peculiar things about it. One, I've coiled this wire and I've coiled this other black wire. I'm coiling the gray wire because it is for a tachometer, which I don't have on my truck. And this other black wire is for a magnetic pickup trigger, which I also don't have. Two other things to note on this. If you have a V6, you'll need to clip one of these wires. If you're wiring this up for a 4-cylinder engine, you actually clip both wires. I have a V8, so we're not clipping any of those wires. So we're gonna start off by plugging this into the box. I'm gonna put a little dielectric grease on that little rubber gasket there so it comes apart in the future, and then we'll start wiring it up. So I have the plug connected to the box. I took those 2 coils of wires and I kind of hit them underneath that filter box right there. So all they're left are 6 wires, okay? So these 2 are pretty simple. It's a red and a black for your positive and negative on your battery. I just have them off to here. I'll hook those up last. And then your other 4 are your red and your white and your orange and your black. So I put them in wire mold because I plan to run them up through here, kind of zip tie them along the way, up through these 2 connectors and over here. And rather than having 4 small skinny wires, I figured they'd look good in some wire mold. That may not be kosher. I'm sure someone will probably tell me that, but I'm gonna do it. And I'm sure you guys will find out if it works. So I'm gonna run that up over there and bring you back. So as you can see, I've run my wire up and over to the ignition coil, which is where we will connect those 4 wires. So right here, you're gonna take this plug out of the ignition coil, and then you're gonna take your part number 8874 harness, this guy right here, and you're basically gonna line up everything that matches. So this one goes right in here into the factory harness. This other end right here plugs into your ignition coil. And then you'll notice off of it are a couple of these leads. Well, if you can match colors, you're set. So red, match with the red, like so. Take your white, match up with your white. Have your orange with your orange. Yep, little Miss Minute, you got your colors down too. And there we go. And black with the black. And then all your additional wire mold, just kind of tuck it in there. And then you've got these other little like connector pieces, and I'm sure you can find some places to mount these. I'm probably just going to zip tie some of this out of the way so it looks neat and organized. But essentially, we're all wired up on this side. All we do is connect the battery. So finally, we're making our hookup at the battery. So I've taken the terminals off, which probably didn't have to do, but I know you guys would have to do it anyway. I have these really handy terminals that have these little ports, and basically you use an L key and you can loosen them up and you can stab your wires in. So I'm basically going to hook up the negative right here. So stab it right there in the back, tighten. That's all done. Now to do the positive. Okay, positive. Stab it in there. And tighten. There we go. All nice and tight in there. Now we just hook them up to our terminals and we're ready to fire it up. All right, guys, moment of truth. We have everything hooked up. It's time to start, but just a quick overview. So battery terminals to our power wires. I coiled up the remainder just in case I want to reuse this kit somewhere else or relocate the box in the future. Box on the fender well, plugged in, wires in wire mold, routed up and over the engine down here into that harness, which clips into the factory connectors. So time to fire it up. So let's come on over here. And oh, how about that? Friendly reminder to subscribe to my channel because you're not going to want to miss this. Oh yeah, fired right up. So as it's running, and I'm actually going to turn it off here for a sec, you may want to kind of see how it's running. I've been told that adding this box to your truck may advance or retard your timing. I can't remember which one exactly. So I have my timing light right here. And so I'm going to loosen the distributor bolt here in a second, hence why I turned off the engine. And then I'm going to check the timing. If you want to check the timing on yours, I'm not going to show it in this video. You can just go up here and click one of those links, and I have a full video on how to do it. But I will bring you back just to show you if there is any change in timing. So see you in a bit. All right, guys, so I just did a quick timing check. And Skidder, you're right. Also, thank you for the advice to check the timing. Adding the MSD ignition box did retard my timing. So it brought it back from where I had it set, which was 10 degrees top dead center, to like
almost 3 to 4 degrees top dead center. So not good. That would probably make my truck a little sluggish. So I want to correct that back. So moving forward, I'll just loosen the distributor bolt and just turn the distributor until I hit that sweet spot of that 10, almost 11 degrees top dead center, and this thing should perk. Well guys, that's how you install one of these MSD ignition boxes. See ya.